Hi, everybody. This is Gad Saad for the Sad Truth. A few days ago, I was made aware of an article that was published in Inside Higher Ed. This is on April 21st, 2017, and I'll put the link to the article at the bottom of this clip. It was written anonymously by a sociology instructor, a feminist, who was teaching a course wherein she had assigned, I think, a paper on rape culture. And one of her students, a male student, had written an essay, I guess, that in the instructor's view was very disrespectful to the issue at hand. And so she titled her article Surviving Rape Apologists in the Classroom. So I'm not going to read the whole article here for you, but I just wanted to read a few points. Here we go. Let me just get to the thing. As I went over his paper, I realized that I was reading a paper that sounded word for word like something the man who raped me would say. So apparently this woman had been raped at some point, earlier in her life, which of course is tragic, and it's something that you obviously have to offer her sympathy and support. That's clear. But because she had been raped, reading a paper that sounded word for word like something the man who raped me would say. And not only did this sound like something my rapist would say, this student fit the same demographic profile as him. White, college male between the ages of 18 and 22. So because the student in question raised some issues, I don't have access to the essay that the student had written, but based on what this instructor wrote, he seemed to be critical of feminism, and he thought that rape culture didn't exist in the manner that the instructor was arguing, and that a lot of feminism was about making men feel bad about themselves and attacking men. A set of positions that many people have enunciated. And so because he took that position, this woman who had, of course, who had been raped, and of course we can, as I said, we can all support her and empathize with her for having gone through such a tragic event, somehow linked his positions to, in a sense, her being raped again, or at least having to suffer through the indignities of someone who, quote, is a rape apologist. Now imagine if you're that student and you're trying to simply enunciate what your positions are regarding rape culture. How would you feel if you realize that your instructor is now saying that whatever positions you took is akin to the guy who raped you? Let me just go on here. I got up from my desk and went for a walk. I could not concentrate. I had plans to read a book later that afternoon, which was shattered by being thrown back into a pit of traumatic, fragmented memories by the student's paper. So here she was triggered by the positions that the student had taken. So the mere fact that he espoused positions that somehow were critical of the idea that there is, an endemic rape culture in the United States, brought her back to her rape. Let me just go on. None of my training or experience prepared me for something like this, not even advice from the few feminist scholars I have had the pleasure of knowing. I felt irritated that in 2 pages of poorly written ranting, the student was able to undercut whatever authority I thought I had as an instructor, authority that, especially as a woman instructor, I worked hard to establish and maintain. I imagine him being friends with my rapist, though the man who raped me is now significantly older than the student. He is frozen in the 18 to 22 age bracket in my mind. How, I wondered, could I possibly evaluate this student's work in a, quote, unbiased fashion? Such a request would involve me living an entirely different life than the one I have had. I returned to my computer late that night. I pulled up this paper, took a deep breath, and began to read it again. No one ever advised me how to grade a paper that sounds like something my rapist would say. So I suppose I will have to train myself. Again, put yourself in the shoes of the student who, however misguided his positions might be, and I don't know if they are misguided because I didn't get a chance to read his paper, but whatever this instructor released about the general points that the student was arguing, she's saying that those views are so odious that she associates this student, this male student, this white male student, with being her rapist. She associates him as sitting there laughing with her rapist about how that guy had raped her. This is an instructor speaking about a student. Now, put yourselves for a minute in the uh, position of the student. How is he feeling now, right? So, of course, she deserves all of our empathy and sympathy and support for having gone through something as traumatic as being raped. That's a given. But now let's look at the student. Should a student who writes a position wherein he's critical of rape culture be then placed in a position? Imagine if this person truly has a good conscience. I mean, he's somebody who has a strong conscience, who is a moral person, but who simply decided to air his positions on so-called rape culture in the United States. And the reason why I say so-called is because there is no rape culture in the United States. There is rape culture in many parts of the Middle East. So if you're going to talk about rape culture, the United States is not where you would look for such a systemic and institutionalized rape culture. But in any case, place yourself in the positions of that kid, and you probably appreciate how crazy the collective Munchausen has gotten. Effectively, what this instructor is doing is, again, seeking the empathy and sympathy of a trauma that she is rightfully correct in seeking sympathy for, but now it's no longer enough for us to empathize with her for having been violated by a man. A student who writes a paper about the general phenomenon of rape culture is no different from her rapist. Truly grotesque. Have a good day, everybody.